patrons, I finally sat down and came up with some ideas of some pattern adjustments that I have learned over 40 years of doing this crazy, crazy lifestyle. First of all, we're going to start with the bust line. Now, since everyone is shaped differently, no particular pattern can address right off the bat everyone's particular shape. But once you get close enough for rock and roll, what you can do is, if you get the bust to fit, i.e. to close on a center front opening, you can use, there's going to be a whole bunch of excess fabric here. How you deal with that, if you want to drape it on yourself or your dress form, pin in small princess lines the excess. Get it out so until you're flat right across at the bust, and then what you can do is take up the excess with a fisheye dart. When you take that off, your pattern piece should actually be, your front will actually be curved from the side. It would look like a curve. It's not straight up and down like when you get it from the pattern store. Victorians would also use padding. So after a certain point, you can decide whether you're going to take in or pad out, because sizes of course change month to month. Women are different sizes because that's just how we're made. So that's one of the best pieces of advice that I can give you for keeping your bust line, your pattern, in trim, which is, you don't want it tight and you don't want it baggy, you want it trim.
So would it be a good idea then to, with your mock-up, to make sure that the bust line is fitted properly, then go into dealing with the excess above?
Yes. Women's clothes hang from the bust line. Men's clothes hang from the shoulders. Now these are some broad generalizations, but if you keep that in mind, if you can just attack the bust line, small or large, it doesn't matter. That's your draping point where everything else is adjusted from there. Moving up, and I mean up to the neck, we're going to deal with the issue of necklines. Now, our modern eyes, we tend to wear lower necklines because that's what fashion dictates, that's what we like, that's what we're more comfortable with. If you look at the 19th century aesthetic, unless it's an evening dress, bodices are mostly covered and mostly up to here. So with our modern eyes, we tend to think of these clothing projects that we do as a party dress or things that I only wear once in a while, and that's great. But if you want something that's historical and more than the norm, then my suggestion to you is, once you get those princess darts and everything fitted right here, then you will have a proper neckline, which if you want your neckline to appear higher. I don't have, and I'm a good example of this, I don't have a tall neck. However, what I can do is I can take my jewel neck line, which is right at the base of the neck, drop it just a tiny little bit, and you drop it on your drape. And then what you do is you bring up, when you pattern your collar, bring your collar up higher on the sides, and then I actually use a center front drop. So it goes like here and it drops a little bit. And assuming you have a center front bodice. What that does visually is it makes your neck look a little bit longer. And then you can wear the tall neckline that you want to have that in that fashionable look. If you look at late 1880s photos of women in groups, and they're all wearing the same style of bodice, and they're all different sizes and shapes, they all have different collars because they've probably gone to their seamstress and had them do one that was custom for them. We've finished. We've done the neckline. We've worked with the bust line. Well, now what happens once you've adjusted all this is you have to deal with the armholes, or as in the 19th century or in modern couture, they refer to it as the ARMSCYE. Now, the ARMSCYEs are one of those tricky things that they can make or break your project. An ill-fitting armhole / ARMSCYE will throw off your entire posture and will not allow you to move in the manner that you are accustomed. Because an armhole that is too loose, in period speak, will not allow you to move your arm the way that you normally move. Because contrary to modern fits, the ARMSCYE needs to be higher on the bodice, because remember, we're not dealing with stretch fabrics. We're dealing with fabrics that are interlined and lined and are stiff. So you need to have that little bit of fabric that will allow your arm to rotate and to go above your head and to lace your clothing or to put on your own hat. Clean your house, ride a horse. Women did the same things that they do now, and they did it because their armholes were completely up to here.
But Karin, those are so tight.
They don't have to be tight. Because they're higher does not mean that they're tighter. It just means that they're fitted differently than a modern approach.
Of all the various issues here, what is another issue that comes in patterning and construction?
Hemlines can make or break a garment. Now, because the 19th century general philosophy towards textiles is that textiles are valued more than the labor. The whole idea is of the construction of the garments, specifically the hems, is to preserve the textile itself so it can be reused. Nowadays, we of course have throwaway fashion. But since we're reproducing 19th century garments, let's approach it like how they did. So hems are not just turned up and then turned over again like what we do for modern clothes. What they would do is they would be faced. A skirt hem would have a facing of some sort of stronger fabric, just to preserve the integrity of the hem so it's not rippling or moving strangely when the wearer walks. And there was also a little bit of brush braid at the bottom. And what that does is the brush braid is put on with the intent of it to be removed during cleaning, removed when it wears out, so you can maintain the integrity of the hem and preserving the line of the dress.
So is that facing visible to the viewer, or is that hidden inside, kind of like another sort of
It's
line?
on the inside. It is not visible from the outside. And the hem facing weight is determined by the weight of the fashion fabric itself. Now, some hem facings, if the dress is out of a British net or of silk organza, it's going to be super sheer to non-existent. But if it's going to be cotton, wool, linen, or silk, it's probably going to be a cotton facing. If you take these 4 or 5 suggestions that we've given you, I feel that you can take any pattern and really make that pattern your friend, and you won't be dealing with late night tears or writing me saying, Karin, I can't get this to work, because you can get this to work. It's just a matter of knowing your shape or your client's shape and knowing the pattern's approach to shape. Many times you will have to wear the same corset from the company that the pattern is coming from, because each pattern company has their own defining shape. So that might be something you might want to look into as well. The more sophisticated you become in garment shape and garment construction, then you can move on and be more confident with dealing with actual authentic patterns from the time period. And in our next video, we'll actually be showing you some of the antique pattern systems which inspired me to go on and make patterns on our own.